got it!
Luke May!
How about them Tar Heels? They are the national champions.
We're back. It's time for another edition of the Carolina Insider. It's a rapid reactions edition as we rapidly tell you that the Tar Heels beat Virginia Tech tonight, 89-82. It is presented by our friends at Modelo. I'm Jones. He's Adam. And the Tar Heels got a nice home win. Adam, and we're going to see some highlights coming up in a second. I talked to Hubert Davis. Adam talked to Jonathan Powell, who was terrific tonight. 4 of 5 from 3, 3 of 5 at the free throw line, which was a nice addition. Ended up with 15 points. Adam, one of the questions I asked Coach Davis, which I think is relevant, and we said this on the air during the broadcast, you can just tell it's getting to the end of the year. It's just like Virginia Tech came into this game probably on the wrong side of the bubble, but in the conversation, had a chance for a big win. They'd had all week, didn't play in the midweek, so they were ready, and they gave Carolina their best shot. It was tied at halftime. This was never a blowout. Carolina led by 11 in the second half, but it ends up winning by 7. It's just getting to that time of year. I think you felt it on Monday, too, against Louisville, where, hey, it's time to go. You've got to be ready to go, and to Carolina's credit, it wasn't perfect, but they took a big shot from a good team and still won the ballgame.
I don't think I realized it until starting lineups, and the crowd was so loud.
Yeah.
It was such a good crowd, and they were so into it from before the tip-off. And then that first half, Virginia Tech looked like a team that should be in the NCAA tournament. They played really well. Tar Heels hung around just long enough to then go back to the stalwarts in the second half.
And, of course, one of those was Henry Vesar. He had a huge game, 26 points, ties a career high, and Adam, it seemed like the Tar Heels, Vesar included, were settling for some threes early in the game and really the first half. And he hit that one, and it seemed like then everybody thought, let's shoot some threes. But then in the second half, Carolina was much more focused, as we've certainly seen him do that on the defensive side too. Carolina was much more focused on getting the ball down low.
Vesar ends up tying his career high with 26 points. I think almost half of Carolina's shots in the first half were three-pointers, and it very clearly was something they talked about at halftime. And then once they started to get inside, you get it to that guy right there, and he does exactly that. Virginia Tech, I think, maybe didn't have on the scouting report that he can shoot it from 3. And a couple times just left him, and he kind of stood there and was like, oh, I'm really open. Okay, fine, I guess. And knocked down a couple, but the big part of the damage was closer to the basket.
And we'll move on in a second. He's done a nice job. That right-handed hook is a very efficient shot. He's at that left-handed hook. He's got that. He has become a more efficient back to the basket in the post player, I feel, even as this year's gone along.
From the player we first saw in July or whenever it was he got here to now, there's no doubt he has improved his game a lot. And part of it just hard work on his own. Part of it, the coaching staff working with him, Sean May working with him. They've made him a better player, and he showed it tonight. He was the most dominant player on the court.
Adam, it was 32 bench points tonight for Carolina, and a big part of that was Jonathan Powell. He is an efficient shooter at times, and he was really good tonight at 4 of 5 from three-point range.
Yeah, and all his shots were threes, so he was just doing what he does. He looked like he was really playing confidently, which sometimes it looks like he's kind of thinking about things before he does them. He wasn't thinking as much tonight. He was finding his spots and knocking them down just like that. In addition to the threes that you'll see, he also had 5 rebounds, which was the second most on the team. He had a steal, one of 4 Tar Heels who had a steal. He didn't turn the ball over. It wasn't just the shooting, although that's the primary thing you see in the box score. He did some other things too.
He and Zayden High and Kyan Evans all gave Carolina some good minutes off the bench tonight. I think that's made Carolina better here in this stretch when they're trying to keep their head above water without Caleb Wilson. How those guys continue when Wilson does return, I think is going to be worth keeping an eye on.
The minutes are going to shrink because Caleb Wilson's going to play. But if they can play this same way that they did tonight in those smaller, we think, minutes, that's going to make Carolina so much better. Because think about how hard the Tar Heels were looking for depth before Caleb went out. Well, they found it. They've just got to keep it.
All right, let's talk about one more Tar Heel before we get to our interviews, and that's Seth Trimble. Seth, Adam, I don't know. I didn't – there wasn't like one stretch of play. Seth has the big dunk that really did light up the Smith Center, which I'm sure will be on this highlight package. But it was just kind of a consistent performance from Seth Trimble this evening.
Yeah, if this could be like your baseline Seth Trimble performance, I think you would be really happy with that. Only took one 3-point shot, and he made it, which you saw earlier in this package. Otherwise, just attacking the basket. Drew 8 fouls, which is double what anyone else on Carolina drew because he was constantly going to the rim. He was finishing it successfully, and then this play was one of the loudest that the Smith Center's been all year.
Yeah, soared to the rim as very few on the Tar Heel team can. Maybe the only other one that can is currently out with an injured hand, and it was a big play to finish off as Vesar got the steal, kicked it ahead, and that gave Carolina a little bit of a working margin that the Heels never relinquished. This game was never a blowout, as I said, but that gave Carolina a little bit of space that allowed the Tar Heels to control this one against Virginia Tech.
I really like the reaction from Powell in that shot of the Trimble dunk. Like, that's the edge that Carolina's played with without Caleb Wilson, because it felt like sometimes they were just kind of watching Caleb Wilson. That reaction, like, they're going out and doing it. They're going to do it themselves, and hopefully that continues if and when he comes back.
All right, well, we're going to come back, but not until you see these interviews. I spoke to Hubert Davis. Adam chatted with Jonathan Powell, and so you'll hear and see those. We'll come back, put a bow on this one, and look ahead to the final week of the regular season. Holy cow. But let's hear those interviews first here on the Rapid Reactions Carolina Insider, presented by Modelo. Thank you, 89-82, as Dave just said, the final score tonight in the Smith Center. Coach, great to see you. Congratulations on the win. And I believe the number at halftime was points in the paint, 22-12. Virginia Tech. It ends up, Hokies still an advantage, but a slight advantage, 38-34. Seemed like a philosophical change for you guys offensively in the second half.
Yeah, we had some, spirited communications at halftime because, that's where we're really good from an offensive standpoint. It's just dominating points in the paint through post penetration and offensive rebounds. And in the second half, I felt like we were doing that. We weren't settling for jump shots. We were taking care of the basketball. We were getting the ball into the paint through post or penetration. And this is the first time that I think we've out-rebounded a team by double figures in a long time. Mm-hmm. And so we needed to rebound the basketball. And then, man, we stepped up and knocked down some free throws. And I'm just really proud of this group. One of the things that I've been telling them is on both ends of the floor, just finding a way. And, again, they just found a way to get stops, found a way to get rebounds, found a way to score, found a way to make enough free throws and take care of the basketball. And what a great win. Man, Virginia Tech is a good, talented basketball team.
The 22 rebounds by Virginia Tech, a season low for a Tar Heel opponent this year. Carolina out-rebounds the Hokies 34-22 in total. Coach Henry Vesar, I think, had 8 points at halftime, finishes with 26. He was really, really good for you guys, particularly in the second half.
Yeah, no, I just, at halftime I said, big fella, I love you. Obviously you've had a fantastic year, but, man, we need you in the second half. I just didn't feel like they had anybody that could guard Henry. And one of the things Henry needed to do was to work harder to catch the ball closer to the basket. And he did that, and he was able to score. And when he's scoring points in the paint, it opens everything up for us. The drives, they had to change their ball screen coverage because of that. Then Henry steps out, knocks down the three. And then it just opens up the lane for Seth and all of our guys to be able to get paint touches. So huge for Henry's play in the second half.
32 bench points tonight, Coach. Jonathan Powell and Zayden High, a big part of that, the biggest part of that. Jonathan with 15 and Zayden had 12 along with 5 rebounds. Just a really big production off the bench tonight.
Yeah, huge. When your number is called, you have to step up. Your job or responsibility is to step up and contribute, make impactful plays, whether it's points, rebounds, loose balls, assists, to be able to help the team. And, man, just, when you talk about Jonathan, for us, for Henry to have space, we got to be able to shoot the ball from the outside, and Jonathan was hot from 3, so that really helped us out. And then Zayden, just stepping up.
Mm-hmm.
Rebounds, free throws, finishing around the basket. Defense was really good, and it allowed us to stay big. They always had 2 bigs in, mm-hmm. except for maybe 1 or 2 possessions down at the end when they were trying to generate threes. And so we had to go big. And so it was either, one of the 3, Jaren, Zayden, or Henry, and Zayden really stepped up tonight.
Coach, it's been the second time this week where it's the last day of February, and it just felt like an end of season, both teams really fast, physical, just a end of the year type of ACC game, and your team has stepped up to that challenge now 2 games in a row. It's just impressive.
It is. I can't say I don't wish I had some more words other than I'm so proud of them, but the way that they have stepped up and just competed. The perseverance, the resiliency of this team is at an all-time high. It's been like that the whole year. I mean, you think about it, Seth out 9 games, and then Caleb and Henry out a couple, and Caleb's still out. And, throughout the year, Jaden has stepped up. Jonathan, Kyan played a really good game tonight. I thought he took care of the basketball, got us in our offense, knocked down the 3, hit free throws. I thought he was huge for us, Zayden, and so – just contributions from everyone.
Last thing, Coach, you talk about staying focused all the time, ignoring the sides of distractions.
Yeah.
You got senior night on Tuesday. There'll be a lot going on around that. And then Duke on Saturday, always a lot going on around that. How do you try and make sure your guys stay focused on what the job is here over this final week?
Well, our focus, I always tell them to enjoy wins. So tonight, enjoy the wins with your family and friends. Tomorrow, let's come back and let's have our focus on getting prepared for another really good Clemson team that just come off a huge win at home against Louisville. And also, I want the attention on the seniors. They're worthy of that. Elijah and Seth should be celebrated for what they've done for this program. Seth, I want him celebrated because as accomplished player as he is, for him to stay at one institution in this climate, his devotion to this team, to this program, to this university, unfortunately, you might not ever see that again. And so I really want this to be a special night for our seniors and send them out the right way.
Seth certainly played well tonight, had 20 this evening. That gives him 50 over the last 2 games for the Tar Heels. Coach, congratulations on the win tonight, and look forward to talking with you this week.
All right, I'll see you on the radio show.
We'll be there. That's Monday night, and look forward to being there. And then Tuesday here in the Smith Center. But day for tonight, it's Carolina 89, Virginia Tech 82.
Alongside Jonathan Powell, who played a big role today in Carolina defeating Virginia Tech. Tar Heels now 17-0 in the Smith Center this year. JP, big first half for you. What were you doing as the Tars are kind of struggling offensively? Gave them a little boost there early.
I think just going out and just doing me. I mean, playing hard on the defensive end. I think that led to my offense. And then my teammates doing a great job of finding me and then just trusting my work and shooting the ball with confidence.
They were able to get 11 fast break points in the first half, none in the second half. What was the difference defensively?
I think the main thing was even when we missed shots, just spraying back and picking up a guy and not worry about getting our guy. So I think and protecting the paint and the rim, I think that allowed us to stop them from getting transition points like they had in the first half.
Why has Carolina been so good at home this year? And what'd you think of that crowd from the start?
I was saying to some of my teammates when they was basically like introducing their starting 5 and our starting 5, like I ain't lie, it's lit in here, like they here today. But I think the big part of our success at home is our fans. I think we have a big fan base and a big home crowd advantage. That's the word. We have a big home crowd advantage. So I mean, I think that we all feed off their energy and that allows us to play even harder. So
Carolina's really spread the scoring around in these games without Caleb. What have you learned in these games without him that when he eventually, we hope, comes back will be helpful when he's in the lineup?
I think it shows that everybody on this team can go. I mean, everybody can step up and make plays on offense and defensive end. So, I mean, just showing how deep our roster is.
Tar Heel roster plenty deep enough to beat Virginia Tech today. Big win for the Tar Heels. Big game for Jonathan Powell. JP, thank you.
Appreciate you.
So again, the Tar Heels now win at 89-82. They are now 11-5 in ACC play. And Adam, that's an important number, particularly because of the next game. Clemson is also 11-5 in ACC action. These two teams are tied for 4th. Of course, the top 4 teams in the ACC get the double bye. A win does not guarantee Carolina a double bye, but it puts them in really good shape to be there. A loss makes it really tough to get a double bye for the Tar Heels at this point. So And, of course, Clemson in a similar situation. Their last game of the year, though, is against Georgia Tech, who's already been eliminated from ACC tournament contention. Carolina's last game is at Duke. Difference there. So, all of that to say, big game on Tuesday. It's going to be senior night, a lot on the line. It'll be a big test for the Heels.
There'll be all the usual emotions that go with senior night that people will have to play through. So it's a big one. There was a time this year that Clemson looked like maybe the second best team in the ACC. They've kind of come back to the pack a little bit, but they have had some recent success against the Tar Heels. So Brad Brownell thinks he knows how to coach his team against Carolina, and the Tar Heels are going to have to play well to win that one.
And Clemson had lost 4 in a row, but got a big win today at home against Louisville and kind of got themselves righted. We'll see how things go on Tuesday in Chapel Hill. Quick note, that is a 7 o'clock game. That game time was changed by television. It was originally scheduled for 9. It has been changed to 7, so you may have something that says 9, maybe a schedule or your parking pass or something, but that is a 7 o'clock game on Tuesday for Carolina and Clemson. Before tonight, sorry, Adam and I are getting shown some hilarious stuff in here there he is. Yeah, look, it's Tiny Dog Adam. Big guy Tiny Dog was here.
Christian Stoyanov and Scooby, an elite halftime show.
One of the best. One of the best.
Top 3, no doubt.
Yes.
We know Red Panda's in that discussion. I'm not even sure who the third would be.
Are we going to get this whole shot? Look at this, Adam. Look at this dog. He goes from one ball. Oh, no, we lose it. Oh, okay, we lost it. But
there you go.
Yeah, he just jumped to a second. What a great play.
Christian Stoyanov was on the pod.
Yes, he was.
If you are curious about the life of a halftime show, that's your answer right there.
So good times all the way around today in the Smith Center. Tar Heels win at 89-82. That'll do it for us on the Rapid Reactions edition of the Carolina Insider, presented by Modelo.
Jordan, look at that! May for the win. Got it! May! How about them Tar Heels? They are the national champions.